Hello everybody, welcome to the Skybox. I'm Riley and I'm gonna go over creating a character today. I know this is a little bit different than what I usually do, but stick with me. This is gonna be super important for all you playing tabletop role-playing games, for playing any sort of video game role-playing games, for even improv. You can do this kind of stuff in your head, and this is actual information that I've gotten from professionals who have masters in theater, as I'm currently studying theater, so you can trust that this information will help you even if you don't role play that much. Okay, do these things. Okay, they will help you define your decisions in the game. It'll make your life so much easier. You don't need to sit there being like, do I kill this guy, do I not kill this guy, because you already know what your character does, all that kind of stuff. So I think you guys will find this interesting. I'll just get straight into it. I have a list of some important, basically just like facts and stuff that you should write down. And the ones that are highlighted here in gray are going to be the ones that can change. Obviously your surname can change because of getting married or something like that, but there are other reasons. Maybe you can even hypothetically say that the name can also be changed as well. I'm going to call him John Smith. Wears suits. So that's already a bunch of information that's all going to be super helpful. Okay, 36. Reasonable age. Kentucky. He's in Toronto, and so we already know that he's probably wears suits. He's a businessman, and he's going to be in Toronto. None near him. And you can write as much as you want in any of these categories, even his name. You could go into so much detail about how he got his name, all that kind of stuff. The more you write, the better. Trust me, just write more. This is the bare minimum of what you guys should be doing, by the way. I'm just showing you the bare minimum of what you should be doing. You should be writing way more in each of these categories if possible. And also for GMs, if you're writing a character, this will also be helpful, but I'm just going to keep going. What says specialties is finance. Archery in his spare time. He has a strong fear of heights. A fear of heights, so simple. You can have it in your character, but that should not be even remotely close to the only thing he is incapable of doing. I personally, as a human being, I am incapable of lifting 200 pounds. I am very small, okay? I mean, maybe I could lift 200 pounds for like a second if I did it right. I'm very small though, I'm skinny. So I'm not gonna be lifting strong things. I'm not gonna be getting in a lot of fights. Like, these are things you have to kind of consider when you're making a character. And we already know he's tall, skinny, so we don't have to worry about him being incapable of playing basketball or reaching things on the top of shelves. Okay, but we do have to think about maybe he's clumsy because he's tall, because as you grow, you know, you're still growing, and it's hard to learn how to balance. I like this one because I think everybody does this a little bit, but this is just kind of like his little like subtle ADHD. It's really what I'm trying to describe here. Yeah, so your character, whether they're a pessimist or an optimist, should focus on their specialties or their incapabilities, or focus on a little bit of both. I, as a person, tend to focus on both equally. I don't think I'm an optimist or a pessimist. So it's just important that you have a fairly equal number of both. Your 10 social adjectives are going to be 10 descriptive words about how your character reacts in a social environment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna stick with 5 for now. You get the point. At least 10 you should have for your character, but I don't want this video to drag out for a hell of a long time, so I'm just gonna stick it to 5. Physical is not always like your strength or your dexterity or whatever. It's not always like your physical capabilities. It can sometimes just be your physical quirks. So also keep that in mind. Glasses. Your super objective. This one's super important. Your super objective is going to define your character. And this one, I kind of have like a little highlight star next to it. Generally, your super objective does not change throughout the lifetime of your character, but it can change if there is a very drastic change in how your character acts or reacts. For example, the main character of a story, for example, like The Dark Knight, his super objective very slightly changes, but it doesn't really change. Okay, he always wants the same thing for Gotham. He wants to save it, as an example. And so generally, that will not change throughout the entire thing. And so the super objective for John Smith here is going to be the CFO of a corporation. He wants to be high on the ladder. Your inner conflict can also be your super objective. In a lot of scenarios, they might be the exact same. In this scenario, he just wants to be the CFO of a corporation. So not really something that's internal. So I would say his inner conflict is a little bit different, but it still should fall under the same category of your super objective. Should still be about your corporation, because that's the thing that's most important to your character. He doesn't actually think he can make it, and so that in a little bit of a way defines that he's probably a little bit more of a pessimist. So I should be focusing up here, I should be focusing on the incapabilities a little bit more. And maybe he's a little bit upset that he has ADD. He doesn't know how to cope with it. So that's something else. And you can write down these little hints of information that I'm just saying from looking at my character down on a separate piece of paper. I would encourage you to, or in an other section at the bottom that I just didn't have room to write. I would say, I'm just gonna go straight up say nerd, but if you want, you can look up a list of stock characters. I have one here on Wikipedia, but there are many different lists of stock characters with different stock characters in them. How they feel about this archetype: they hate being called a nerd. That's why they took up archery, because they think it'll make them less of a nerd if they can go out and hunt. Your description doesn't have to be anything big, but it should be as in detail as possible. Obviously, if you have more to say about it, don't stop, keep writing, okay? So those are just a couple of examples. And then down here in these bold letters, these are going to be ongoing things that you constantly change. Okay, so your current objective is like your super objective. Okay, the only difference is that it is for scene to scene or moment to moment. Your current objective will change. If you're going to be doing improv, this is super important. You want your super objective the moment you create your character. Generally in improv, the best thing to do is you want to pick from a stock character, but you want to in your head be like, this is a stock character, this is what makes them different from a stock character, and then you want to say what their super objective is, what the most important thing to them is in the world, the thing they must get, and then their current objective is going to be whatever is going to get them closer. It's good to write this down so you have it and you can look at it, especially in like a tabletop setting. You keep looking at this current objective and think, does this decision I'm making or what I'm doing right now get me closer to my current objective? So his current objective is to become manager. Obviously go into more detail about every memorable moment and take them all into consideration. That list should just be ever going further and further down the list, just like never end basically. And the last thing, if you really want to define your character, at least put a couple facts about down on their like childhood or like right before your scene or your moment takes place. In general, just write as many facts of their history as you can possibly think of. Do not stop writing about their past, okay? Because us as people, we live 365 days every single time, 24 hours, okay? We are alive. And ideally, if you're going to write a lot of facts, this is the most important part, write the facts first and then fill out this, okay? Because you may write something down that contradicts up here and then you'll have to edit up here. That's fine. Do it whatever way you want. I find it's best, write the facts about their history as much as possible, and you should also not be making a stock character unless you're told to otherwise, okay? You might want a typical stock character, but even if you're doing that, by the end of the game, your everything about these highlighted things in your stock character, and the closer you are to a stock character, the more these highlighted things should change, okay? The more your life should become completely different as this character. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the topic. I hope this helped you guys understand the art of creating a character a little bit better, and I'll see you in the next video.